There's a paradigm shift occurring in the AEC industry. The days of withholding information as a competitive advantage are fading away, accelerated by a group of industry professionals who thrive on sharing ideas. So, when AECX, a grassroots forum for idea sharing and community, sprung up in Bluebeam's backyard, we jumped at the opportunity to be a part of it. Before the doors opened, I arranged for an exclusive interview with the event founders and a select group of industry thought leaders for a candid conversation about what drives them to advocate for change. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today. We're really excited to have this conversation. What I hope to capture today is to understand what causes two sane people to have full-time jobs in busy industry and then to create an event in your spare time. Really what you're doing is bringing together community, and Nathan, I think, has an awesome perspective on the industry as to that more of the psychology and mindset that needs to shift. And there's the AEC Hackathon. The industry at large doesn't understand hackathons, doesn't understand who it benefits or what the outcome is. Each of your perspectives and who you are represent the heart of what this event is about community. So we'll start with Cody and Cameron. Tell us, why does this event exist? Why AECX?
One of the reasons why Cameron and I started this is that we saw the opportunity to start forming a community that is actually agnostic to technology. We're all coming together as AEC professionals, communicating the need for technology, the need for disruption within the AEC industry, specifically right here in Los Angeles.
We started at USC and through the alumni group with a desire to create a community that's really passionate about innovation. And because it was such a wild success, Cody and I were talking about how can we broaden this to greater communities?
How important is it to you that this is local to Los Angeles as the skyline's being redefined? How important is it the timing of this event's launch?
We have behind us the tallest building west of the Mississippi, right, the Wilshire Grand, which I've been working on personally for the last 4 years. And what's great about what we're doing today is that we're capturing a moment in time, and I think it's an awesome opportunity for people to actually be able to look out the window and say, yeah, I have my name on that. That's my project. I've been working on that.
I think this event is a huge metaphor for what's happening in Los Angeles. The growth and actually like a re-centralization of Los Angeles, because there's been so much construction and revamping, and innovation could really help to fuel that renaissance that's happening.
Now let's transition a little bit, looking at the three others that we have here on stage are actually not from the Southern California area, but have come to us in order to play a key role in part of the conversation. Nathan, what caused you to want to be a part of this?
There's such this dilemma between what is possible and what is practical. And I think a lot of those that are in the realm of possibility, a lot of academia get very excited about all these things that we can do. And I've always come at it as sharing that same excitement, but okay, we still live in the real world. We're not in this laboratory environment. We're in real projects that are going on, and there's real challenges that until we address that as a community and move forward as a community, it's just going to create this sort of battle between the two sides of those who want to move the industry forward and those who just aren't comfortable. And I think we as industry leaders need to take the time to understand where some of those pain points are and help them along the way. And that's really why I started Spectrum AEC in the first place.
Do you see that this kind of peer sharing opportunity that creates community here will potentially create tangible results that can then convince those who are maybe more reticent to change that this has that potential?
I mean, I think it's more of a cultural awareness that we keep hearing at these conferences of, it's so amazing that people are actually sharing information. I think there's always this competition between companies of the second you found out something, you've got to hold on to it and you got to patent it or it's your intellectual property. And I think within construction, there are so many challenges that need to be solved. We really all learn more and we gain more when we share transparently at these conferences. And to me, that culture change has been a huge shift in the industry, and that awareness getting to the executive level to not fear sharing as much, not fear being out there and promoting these successes, because it's working and it's helping these companies.
So you're talking about a disruption of culture, but we have two co-founders here of the AEC Hackathon who could talk about disruption of technology and technology implementation within the industry. Let's talk a little bit about why was the AEC Hackathon started to begin with?
The AEC Hackathon was started because of the miscommunication between tech people and then people from the built environment. How do you bring together these two people to where the industry is really defining the bullseye for the technologist? Not just a direction. I think it's over here. This is my pain point. Solve this problem. And so that's why the hackathon came to be, is it was about how do you bring together these two communities to solve existing issues.
In the industry, worldwide, the AEC industry is one step behind the fishing industry in expenditures on R&D. Right? The fishing industry. Yet look what's going on behind us, right? There's real dollars out there, which means when you have the hackathon being able to enable something that's being made over a weekend, there's a little bit of magic that happens. But we have to be careful about what that magic is, because it's not just about the tech, it's about the process and who's going to lose. When we start to bring innovations out into the field, the people that squeal the loudest that this thing doesn't work, just get out of my way, are the people that are actually feeding off the inefficiencies throughout the entire industry. There are so many inefficiencies. The people that are thinking we should be able to do this, the academics, the innovators, the thought leaders, we always on every project will be absolutely stop dead with certain technology implementations. The tackling and blocking that's going on out there, we could hit it head on and actually cause a damn civil war out on job sites, or we can just do it, implement it, and go rogue.
I think everybody in the community wants to go rogue, and it's sort of, at what point does the industry say it's okay to go rogue? And here's your rope, just enough to hang yourself a little bit, and let people try new things, let people experiment in these controlled environments on the job site. And how do we make it okay to fail in an industry that's all about certainty and production, even though we're not really good at either of those? Yet we fail to change that traditional paradigm. And I think this is the start of it.
And that's why I guess now I'm excited more about the AECX and AEC Hackathon is because it is about bringing in awareness and then discussion. But then you do need that controlled environment that's safe, that your safety inspectors aren't going to go nuts because you're trying something new on. And so I think that's where the hackathon becomes that area where, and you brought it up best, it's safe to fail. Because failure, if you're still persistent, is iteration, right? And so I think that, maybe in the future, even though I'm sure insurance companies would go nuts, we should maybe have an AEC hackathon on a job site. It'd be great to discover out of this discussion and doing what is going to be the next step to help adoption.
It's true, we may not have a hackathon on a project, but why not take a real project where they're probably working over the weekends anyway, and say this weekend we're going to go inside this controlled environment and we're going to fail a bunch of things and test them and see if we can get something
Safely.
to work, but safely within a controlled environment. I mean, the more I get outside this industry, outside of construction, and look at tech, most of tech is frustrated that they're all solving these, consumer problems that nobody really cares about, and they want to solve these problems. Yeah. And we're just trying to figure out how to get the two to talk to each other. And again, how do we free up people to go rogue, but make sure that whatever they go rogue on of their personal preference talks back to the system? And this whole idea of open API, open sharing between platforms hackathons become more, I've got this app and I got this app, and right now they don't talk to each other, and I want to figure out how to make them talk to each other. And that's a project-specific problem that we can attract a lot more people to come in. And
well,
what does that make you think?
I'll let you start with it.
You're talking about two big, huge issues. It's not about the hardware, it's not about the software, it's about the data.
Integration.
And our industry, for God bless them, for creating so much data. We were big data before big data was a thing. Then people start saying, hey, I can make money off this because there's mistakes. And now all of a sudden it's becoming a bigger and bigger deal with the data, because now the data doesn't lie. And the tools that we're creating are creating transparencies to those processes and saying, why the hell are we doing it that way? Now all of a sudden you have the other side of this thing that says we can't be thinking about that individual piece of software or a HoloLens by itself, because I know the guys at HoloLens, and guess what? They're not even thinking about the AEC industry, right? But they're thinking, wow, we need this to be B&B for content. That's where this event comes in. What we found over successive hackathons is that we have competitors that just come together because it's birds of a feather. And they actually leave that ego at the door, and they leave that business thing at the door, which then tends to say, well then, how do you formalize that after a weekend? And that's where AECX, I think, can really start to excel and actually have a sustainable way of making sure that not only the Los Angeles community starts to embrace these ideas that it's okay to go rogue, it's okay to do things differently, because people are going to look and go, how did you do that?
I didn't say this to people, but I said, look, if you guys come and make an app where you can upload a PDF and share it on an iPad, I'm going to slap you, because there's already so many of those out. And so one of the things that I have seen is that your bar is no longer down here. The AEC Hackathon brings your bar up here. People from our industry are going Tony Stark. And if you look at the actual implementation, Iris VR, these others, of innovative technologies, we are blowing away the gaming industry. So I think that what needs to happen is that the software companies, the people who are providing and hardware solutions to AEC, get involved in the AEC Hackathon or events like that. Because what it's going to do is it's going to give you that opportunity to engage directly with customers and say, one, what features do you need? Which ones do we provide that are useless? And then, oh wow, you do want to include a HoloLens. Let's make that a topic for a next hack.
I don't disagree with any of the points you just made. You're absolutely right. And I think at the end of the day, the app providers are having the same challenges that the industry has of, well, the second I share something, that's my intellectual property. And that is their business. Their business is
Their business models
holding
do
on to
make
that
that
IP.
difficult. That does
And
make it
that
difficult.
does add to the barriers to entry. I want someone that wants to be in VR to be in VR, and the actions that they take in that to also show up on my Facebook on my phone,
Right.
or whatever that simple communication tool is. And so the question is not either or, it's actually both.
Exactly,
And it's
yeah.
about how do we continue to blow the industry away with what technology can be used, but also make sure that whatever we're doing still talks to the most basic thing. This industry is not about a commodity, it's about the people that come together and build. Right. And because we've got that full spectrum of people, we have to address each of those individual needs. Some are just purely, how do I get more comfortable not having to be on paper? But they should all be talking to each other, because it creates inefficiencies when they don't talk to each other. So it will be really interesting to see what it does.
AECX and AEC Hackathon would not exist if they were doing it right.
Yeah.
This is the watershed mark that we're no longer just going to change our way to have to go to a university to figure out how to use a tool, right? We're talking about the real integration of process, technology, and the outputs. Whoever can figure that out, either on a job site, as an individual, or as a company, those are going to be the winners in this new world.
And I think it brings up an interesting point. There is a need for a table to be created for this exchange. And I don't doubt that any software company would say they don't want to sit at that table. But let's talk about the reality of this event here in LA. So the hackathon is following on to this event, but based on other hackathons around the globe, what is the attendance like here, and why?
Well, the attendance here is light. That's the interesting thing is, and as I kind of like to think of it more of a multi-local approach than a multinational approach, right? Is that you have a concept that you have to take somewhere and then see what the local community does with it, instead of saying this is the way it's going to be in all these places. We're more international than we are here, and it's a pull, not a push. That's what I think is very interesting, and why I'm here, is because I want to see the growth from AECX, have it to where when we're doing an AEC Hackathon, there are people saying, hey, I heard all of this great thought leadership, they've created the table for us to come to, and now it's time to build something on the table.
Can it also be an industry recruitment tool? I feel like such of the challenges we talk about in this industry is talent, management, retaining good talent. Can this be a way to bring talent into this industry by attracting folks that now get hired by a construction company to solve their specific problems? Completely.
I mean, of course, we reach out to people who are providing existing solutions, but then we also just go out to the geek. Mm-hmm. Hey, you do JavaScript, you do mobile app development, and in one way, this is something that's completely foreign to them.
There's this big opportunity here also, and we're talking about hackathons so much. As soon as you say hack, people will think that we're doing something illegal, right?
Guy Fawkes mask, anonymous.
And every time I start saying hackathon,
Mr. Robot.
it's amazing. People just gloss over and they're like, you're doing something illegal. AECX has this opportunity to lead the way for professionals to understand what we're trying to do and get them involved in the community as well, the hackathon community, not just the AECX community that we're trying to form here.
The biggest thing is education. I think enlightening the masses cross industry. It's bringing top talent. I mean, most of the software engineers and technologists I know, they love solving huge problems, really complex problems, and there are so many. You know this.
And that was the point I was really excited to make, is that I think it's less about who shows up, and it's more about what problems come in and what solutions go out.
Yeah.
And how do you market that? I mean, it's great that everything is open source. At the end of the day, everything's shared, everything's recorded, it goes up somewhere, but that we can continue to promote, not just the event itself, but the solutions that come out of it, to see those scale, to see that fame go out to whoever that person is that solved that problem, that they're getting credit where credit's due, and that we're encouraging more folks to say, yeah, I want to go to the next one because I want to be that guy.
Damon's been very disciplined about this because like people see the AEC Hackathon and everyone wants to blow it up, right? Like, let's make this huge. And he's been really disciplined, saying, listen, we create the environment for others to have this exchange of ideas. We're not the ones creating the innovation. And as long as AECX can also have that same type of focus to just say, let's set the table. Here's the opportunity for you to finally start to talk back and forth. If you're seeing low turnout with numbers, that doesn't mean that you have low turnout with ideas, but it's actually a reflection of the industry when you don't have 400 people up on here, because they're working.
Yeah. It's not that they don't want to be there, they don't have the time to be there.
They don't have time to do that. So it's kind of one of those things when you're putting on events. And
to your point on the fame and sort of the status that a lot of these grassroots, whether it is AECX or AEC Hackathon, or shoot, I go back 3 years ago and Sasha gave me a call about this thing called the Construction PDF Coalition. And it's like, who cares about 2D PDFs, right? Yet it's blowing up because everybody goes, well, crap, those are the little things that aren't working. Let's fix those. Let's get those to talk to these systems, that talk to all these way more sophisticated systems, and that it is about integration of the innovation, and that there is no innovation too small or too big.
I agree with that.
It's about letting the end user, letting the customers drive the need, and just listening to them, giving them a platform through all these different organizations to have a voice, I think is where this traction is coming from, where this excitement's coming from.
And this is the kickoff. But how do you see this scaling and growing? And I guess I'll ask you guys, how do you see this kind of scaling and growing from here?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question, because I've already started receiving calls and emails from other places like Silicon Valley, Florida, and in between, asking, wow, this looks like an amazing event. You guys have something here. Can you bring AECX to us? We wanted to create this Los Angeles community, but it's already spanned so much further. Look, it's just 2 LA people right here, and then great example, 3 other people that are very heavy hitters coming from different areas. It's amazing. The interest is out there, the communities are there. It's just pulling the communities together.
One piece of advice for AECX is to think about how the different flavors of speakers for certain events can be themed, and that can be themed to that particular region, because the AC industry has global issues, but as you then start to make those regional decisions about hosting things like this and enabling the rogue nature of all this stuff to happen, that's where the special sauce comes in.
Wrapping up the conversation, I was excited to hear about the potential to replicate events like AECX in other communities. It will be interesting to see if firms recognize this rare opportunity to step up and support their local champions for change and elevate this conversation to scale globally. For more industry news, visit Structure.